You just ate a massive bowl of raw vegetables and a superfood salad. Yet you feel completely bloated, inflamed, and miserable. That shouldn't happen. But your gut might be following a completely different biological rulebook than you think. You have been told your entire life that fiber is the ultimate health food. Eat your greens, load up on whole grains, blend that giant kale smoothie every single morning. You do all of these things. You expect to feel energetic and light. Instead, your stomach expands like a balloon. Your energy crashes completely. You feel worse than if you had eaten a plate of junk food. Why does this happen? For decades, the standard nutritional advice has been that more fiber is always better. But according to emerging clinical research, this blanket advice is actually causing a silent epidemic of gut dysfunction. Let's look at what researchers from institutions like Stanford University and the Mayo Clinic are discovering about the human digestive system. They are focusing intensely on the microbiome. The microbiome, that is simply the ecosystem of trillions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi living inside your large intestine. When you eat fiber, you are not actually feeding yourself. Humans do not possess the digestive enzymes required to break down plant fiber. You are completely incapable of digesting it. Instead, you are feeding these bacteria. This process is called fermentation. Imagine your gut is a high-tech compost bin. When you put the right amount of organic matter into it, it breaks down smoothly. It generates beneficial byproducts. But if you dump 50 pounds of tough, fibrous stalks into a small bin all at once, it rots. It expands. It produces massive amounts of trapped gas. This is exactly what happens inside your digestive tract. When you rapidly increase your intake of certain fibers, the bacteria in your gut go into an absolute feeding frenzy. This is especially true for a category of fermentable carbohydrates known as FODMAPs. FODMAPs. That is an acronym for specific types of sugars and fibers that pull water into your digestive tract and ferment very quickly. Think of foods like garlic, onions, apples, and certain beans. When this rapid fermentation happens, it creates a storm of hydrogen and methane gas. Your intestines physically stretch to accommodate this expanding gas. This stretching triggers sensitive nerve endings in your intestinal wall. These nerves send immediate danger signals to your brain. You feel sharp pain. You feel incredibly heavy. Your brain responds by increasing inflammation to protect the surrounding tissue. Dr. Justin Sonnenberg, a leading microbiome researcher at Stanford, has extensively studied how our gut bacteria react to what we eat. His research suggests that your gut bacteria are very much like your muscles. They need to be trained over time. If you have spent years eating a modern, highly processed, low-fiber diet, your microbiome has adapted to that specific environment. The bacteria that specialize in breaking down complex plant fibers have starved. Their populations have dwindled. Your internal ecosystem is out of shape. Then, you suddenly decide to get healthy. You start eating 50 grams of raw broccoli, chia seeds, and whole wheat every single day. You are essentially taking a muscle that has not been used in years and forcing it to lift 500 pounds. The system completely breaks down. The few fiber-digesting bacteria you have left become entirely overwhelmed. This brings us to the biggest myth in modern nutrition, the belief that all fiber is created equal. That is scientifically false. There are two main types of dietary fiber, insoluble fiber and soluble fiber. Insoluble fiber is the tough, structural part of a plant. Think of the stringy part of celery or the hard outer shell of seeds. Insoluble fiber acts like a stiff broom. It sweeps through your digestive tract, pushing waste along. Now, if your gut is perfectly healthy, this broom is highly beneficial. But if your gut lining is already sensitive, irritated, or inflamed, sending a stiff, scratchy broom through a raw, sensitive tube multiple times a day is a recipe for disaster. It causes microscopic physical irritation. Your immune system detects this irritation. It deploys white blood cells to the area. Systemic inflammation rises. That raw kale salad you forced yourself to eat is physically scratching an already irritated digestive lining. Then you have soluble fiber. Soluble fiber is completely different. It dissolves easily in water. When it mixes with the liquids in your stomach, it forms a thick, soothing gel. Think of the slippery texture of cooked oatmeal or the soft inside of a baked sweet potato. This gel coats the delicate lining of your intestines. It slows down digestion. It prevents massive blood sugar spikes. And most importantly, It acts as a slow-release food source for your good bacteria. It does not cause rapid, explosive fermentation. It provides a steady, manageable supply of energy to your microbiome. There is another vital biological factor at play here, a condition increasingly recognized by gastroenterologists at the Cleveland Clinic and the NIH. It is called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Your large intestine is supposed to house trillions of bacteria. Your small intestine, however, is supposed to be relatively empty. But sometimes, due to chronic stress, a bout of food poisoning, or poor motility, bacteria migrate upward. They set up camp in your small intestine. This is a major mechanical problem. The small intestine is narrow. It is not designed to handle heavy fermentation. When you eat a massive bowl of raw fiber, these misplaced bacteria attack it immediately. They ferment the fiber in the narrow, sensitive small intestine instead of waiting for it to reach the large colon. The gas gets trapped high up in your digestive system. This is why you might look 6 months pregnant immediately after eating a seemingly healthy meal. Feeding raw, tough fiber to a gut with SIBO is like throwing gasoline on a chemical fire. When your microbiome is functioning correctly, fiber is truly magical. The bacteria ferment the fiber and produce incredibly healing compounds. These are called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. The most important of these is called butyrate. Butyrate is the primary fuel source for the cells lining your colon. It keeps the gut barrier tight and secure. It prevents toxins and undigested food particles from leaking into your bloodstream. This leaking process is commonly known as leaky gut. Institutions like Harvard Medical School have directly linked low levels of butyrate to chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, and severe brain fog. So, fiber is absolutely essential for your long-term health and longevity. You need it to produce butyrate, but you cannot force the biological process. If you overwhelm the system, the bacteria produce excess gas and inflammatory byproducts instead of healing butyrate. There is also a direct physical connection between your gut and your brain, the gut-brain axis. When you are stressed, your body releases cortisol. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. When cortisol floods your system, it diverts blood flow away from your digestive organs. It pushes that blood into your arms and legs. Your body literally thinks you need to run away from a dangerous predator. Digestion completely shuts down. Your stomach acid production drops dramatically. The muscular contractions that move food through your intestines grind to a complete halt. Now, imagine eating a massive, difficult-to-digest bowl of raw fiber while you are stressed at your desk. The food just sits there. It stagnates in your stomach. The bacteria begin to ferment it in a completely paralyzed environment. The result is massive bloating and toxic gas production. You are trying to perform one of the most complex biological processes in the human body without the necessary blood flow to support it. So, what exactly can you do tomorrow to fix this? How do you rebuild your gut health without suffering through endless bloating and pain? First, step away from the raw, rough vegetables. If you are experiencing pain or swelling, your gut is begging for a break. Switch your focus entirely to cooked vegetables. Heat is a highly effective form of pre-digestion. Boiling, steaming, or roasting vegetables physically breaks down those tough cellular walls. It does half the digestive work before the food ever enters your mouth. Your stomach and intestines will not have to work nearly as hard. Second, prioritize soothing, soluble fibers over harsh, insoluble ones. Focus your meals around foods like cooked carrots, baked sweet potatoes, peeled apples, and warm oats. These foods create that healing, protective gel. They feed your bacteria gently and safely. Third, you must titrate your fiber intake. Titrate simply means increasing the dose very slowly over time. Do not jump from 10 grams of fiber to 40 grams overnight. Add just 2 or 3 extra grams a day. Stay at that specific level for an entire week. Let your bacterial ecosystem multiply and adapt naturally to the new workload. Fourth, hydration is absolutely non-negotiable. Soluble fiber needs water to form its protective gel. If you consume large amounts of fiber without adequate water, it absorbs whatever moisture is left in your intestines. It turns into dry, hard concrete. It halts your digestion entirely. Drink a large glass of water with every single fiber-rich meal. Finally, never eat complex fibers when you are stressed. Take 3 deep breaths before your first bite. Signal to your nervous system that you are safe. Let the blood flow return to your stomach before you ask it to do the heavy lifting. Your digestive system is an incredibly adaptable, intelligent machine. It wants to extract nutrients efficiently. It wants to keep you energized and pain-free. But it needs you to work with its current physical capacity, not against it. Health is not about punishing yourself with foods that cause you pain. It is not about forcing down a raw superfood salad just because a fitness influencer told you to. It is about listening to the distinct biological signals your body sends you. You just ate a massive bowl of raw vegetables and a superfood salad. So maybe the question was never how healthy the food was, but whether your body was actually ready to process it.